Hi, it's Ghost with Combat Sports Supply, and today we're going over the Classic Army M134-A2 minigun. The original Airsoft M134 minigun was produced by a company called Piper Precision Products. So Piper Precision was based out of Texas, and they are credited with the original Airsoft minigun. They've been unfortunately out of business for a significant amount of time now. All of the ones we're looking at today are just copies of that minigun. The successor to that one was this. As you notice, we have two now. This is the Echo 1 minigun. Unfortunately, the reason this one is so filthy is because it currently doesn't function. The wiring harness is shot on it. We're attempting to rebuild it. So there are two versions of the A2 minigun. This one is mine, personal one. There's one with the barrel shroud and one without. It is a full 6 rotary barrel. It comes with the chainsaw style carry handle. And if you wanted to modify it, you can get the pintle mount functional. To give you an idea, this gun weighs 25 pounds. This is not easy to carry around, but that rate of fire looks something like that. Now, out of the box, these are shooting incredibly hot. Factory spec sheet says 500 to 600 FPS, which for most fields is well outside of your limits, so you're going to have to run a regulator on the HPA version. Now, running off of your 12-volt battery, this is going to shoot 50 rounds a second. 500, 600 FPS doesn't sound like much until you're shooting that many BBs. At 150 feet, we were leaving welts on one of our guys' backs. Dumbass. Now, this one is the HPA version, so I need a tank or more likely a compressor to run this. It runs through air at an unbelievable rate. When I say a ton of air, when we were shooting our volunteer earlier, that 8 to 12 seconds went through almost 1200 PSI. Now, when I say 1200 PSI, a lot of you may not understand what I'm talking about. This is a standard 48 cubic inch HPA tank that most people run on their guns. It will chew through 1200 of the 3000 PSI in this in like 12-ish seconds. It's a little nuts. Now, you may have noticed something attached to the top of my tank. This is a regulator. The reason being, this gun only runs at 150 PSI max. Now, I have it turned down because I don't want to shoot people way over limits, but this gun also runs off of CO2 and pretty much any compressed gas you can think of. We haven't tried it with CO2 yet. I'm not even sure I want to because it's probably going to freeze out the gun and the tank. This door accesses your hop-ups. There are 6 individual hop-ups in this. They can be a bit of a bugger to adjust. Your battery goes in this side. Your motor's on the other side. I'll show that later. And it comes with the pistol grip. Now, they originally come with a cotter pin. Mine fell off, so I put a paper clip in it. This is actually the only safety on this. It goes in this little hole in the trigger and keeps the trigger from being depressed so it can't activate the gun. Alright, you remember me mentioning the battery compartment in this thing? It's this. You have to take these 2 little nuts off to get into it. That's your primary disconnect. This is not the battery plug. There's actually a plug inside of here for it. Your proprietary motor is in this housing. You should probably never open this unless something goes terribly wrong. I mentioned adjusting the hop-up earlier. To do that, there were 2 pins in here. They look kind of like this. Pop those out. This panel slides off. You'll see 2 sets of screws. The rear one is your hop-up, the front one is your barrel mount. And to adjust each individual one, you just manually rotate it around to each one, and you set them all as close to the same as possible. Now, this internal reservoir is where all your BBs go. They load through the back of the gun. I'll show that in a minute. It holds 2,000 rounds. And in case you're wondering what it looks like with it open, so, I mentioned I would show you how it loads. Looking at the back of this gun, just under your trigger system, there's this cap. This cap will unscrew, and it loads down that tube. Now, I would love to find a way to put more BBs in this, so if someone in the comments can let me know how to modify this, or build something to put in this so that I can run a remote feed system, please let me know. Now, this is an HPA gun. You may be wondering what it sounds like when it actually has air attached to it. Just to prove I wasn't kidding about the pressure limitations, I just went through 800 PSI in that last shot, so it's about 100 PSI a second you're losing out of your tank. Well, we've gone over all the basics of this thing. They are a tad bit spendy. This version of it's about $3,300, but in terms of functionality and psychological warfare, you can't really beat them. And if you've got any way of mounting it to a vehicle, that's what I plan on doing, and it's gonna make one heck of a technical when it's done.
Don't be a fool!
So the original Airsoft minigun was produced by a company called Piper. Shit, I forgot.